So you're thinking about buying your first investment property and you're not sure which direction to go, short-term rental or long-term rental. Here are all of my pros and cons. To start off with, you want to see what's allowed in your area. A lot of cities and counties don't allow for short-term rentals. And if they do, they might have a wait list, so you'll definitely want to ask about that. If you get past the city and the county, the next stop is the HOA if you have one. HOAs oftentimes have rules that disallow any rentals that are shorter than 30 days, which will make the short-term rental not a great option for you. On the long-term rental side, most cities and counties are going to allow for long-term rentals just fine. If you have an HOA though, you are still going to want to check with them. Some HOAs have what is called a rental cap, which means only a certain percentage of the homes in the HOA can be rented. And if that cap has been met, then there isn't going to be room for you to rent that long-term either. Next up, probably what's most important to you, income. Short-term rentals have the potential for higher income, but there's also more risk with it. You can have a greater risk of vacancy, as well as some seasonality with your income. And short-term rentals are going to be more susceptible to fluctuations due to the economy. People still are going to need a place to live, so long-term rentals are still going to be viable, even in times when short-term rentals may not be as viable because people aren't traveling as much. On the long-term rental side, you're probably going to have less vacancies, and you'll know exactly what that rental amount coming in every month is going to be. Another thing to consider is flexibility in using the property yourself. If you have your property set up as a long-term rental, there's probably not going to be any space for you to use that property. But if you have it set up as a short-term rental, especially in a vacation area, that's still a place that you can go visit yourself. One thing to consider is setup. Most of the time with a long-term rental, you'll get your keys from your real estate agent. Unless there's some work that needs to be done, you can immediately go and rent it and hand the keys off to a tenant. On the short-term rental side, it does take more work to get set up and more cost as well because you're buying furniture, linens, shampoo, all of that good stuff. And that takes time and money to get set up. So you'll want to consider that. If you're close to your cash out of pocket already with the purchase, short-term rental might not be the way to go for you. One of the biggest differences between short-term rentals and long-term rentals is the management. Most long-term rentals take little management. Of course, when you start out, you're looking for a tenant, and that takes some time and effort. But then you're collecting rent and just dealing with things that come up. The dishwasher breaks or something like that, and you have to replace it. It's pretty straightforward on the management side. And hiring a property manager for that, usually in my area at least, is about 10% of the monthly rent. On the short-term rental side, the management is much more intensive. You're dealing with bookings, putting it on all of the different sites. You are dealing with people coming and going more frequently and having a housekeeper in between them. And you're also dealing with communication with those people as they're coming and going. So it's a lot more complex. A full-service property manager for short-term rental can be up to 35% in my area, which is pretty steep, but doing those tasks yourself is going to take a lot of your time, so you'll need to weigh the cost benefit of that. So the legalities around a short-term rental and a long-term rental vary a lot as well. In my area, a long-term renter is going to have tenant rights, and that's going to be for someone who is there for more than 30 days. And you can set up your short-term rental so that doesn't happen, so you never have to deal with that. And then another benefit of that is you don't have to deal with eviction if it ever comes to that. So it definitely is worth looking into the laws in your area for long-term rentals because that can vary a lot with tenants' rights. A short-term rental is also going to have more wear and tear. Think of it this way. A long-term renter, that's their home, and everybody wants to take good care of their home. A short-term rental though, it's like, oops, I spilled this. Do I really care? Or oops, I tore this or stained this towel. So there's just more wear and tear that you're dealing with a short-term rental because of that. And one more consideration is the neighbors. A lot of neighbors don't like having short-term renters as neighbors because, well, people coming and going that you don't know can create some anxiety for some people. And there's also a chance of parties or loud noises. I have had very good luck in my short-term rental so far, but that's always a concern, is being respectful to the neighbors. So that's my list of pros and cons for short-term rentals and long-term rentals. I hope this has been helpful.